Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 101. We got some new beginnings here. The first Corrective Consciousness on the main Corrective Consciousness YouTube page. The podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture.
Wait, hold on. That can't be right. Do it over. You clearly messed up again.
Speaking of inanity.
Oh my god.
I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Thursday, Lotus Prince.
And Monday's Facathon. I'm just gonna...
Wait a minute. No, do it all over. All of it. Cancel the podcast.
We're done.
Yeah.
Quit.
And Wednesday Addams. I mean, shit.
Wait, what's my motivation?
I need to find my muse.
But yeah, this is the first Corrective Consciousness on the new YouTube page, our new home. If you are watching this on Lotus's channel, please click the link to get over to the Corrective Consciousness page, where we will have our podcast from now on, and hopefully more content in the future. But we really want to thank those of you who have stuck with us all this time, and please comment on the new page on the Corrective Consciousness YouTube page here. Leave all of your hate mail on Lotus Prince's.
Marvelous.
Yeah, just
nice.
anything that bad that you could say that could detract from anything that he could do, please do it.
Here's a link to the Soundcloud page.
But having said that, we have a great show. We're starting from 101, so that's kind of like the first season, right? Isn't it?
Well, this should be like the easiest podcast ever, right? It's like CoreCon 101.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
We're schooling all of you. We're schooling all of you. So,
I can't wait till I graduate from this one and move up to 10. No, it wouldn't be 102. It'd be like 201.
Man, 201. That's in a while.
Yeah, another 2 years. So just about. So anyway, we're very glad to have everybody on here. We are announcing a new format. So the people that have listened to Recon on Tuesday, of course, noticed very little change. This is going to be a slight change. It's still going to, be the same hosts and everything. We haven't fired Old Man Stompy or sent him out to pasture quite yet. But
he's moved to a farm upstate.
Oh my!
Doing Bovine University.
When I grow up, I'm going to Bovine University.
But yeah. So what we're going to be doing here is, instead of doing individualized segments, before, what our format centered around going to each of us and asking us what we did that week. The problem with that is that it was very compartmentalized. Mm-hmm. So Lotus or Pyro or Old Man Stompy would have their moment, but there would be very little interaction from the rest of the group. It would be more just like probing questions or something to get people going.
Yeah. It would basically be each of us monologuing for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and the other it usually involved two of us interacting, and then the other one would just like fall asleep or something.
Yeah. and this goes double if one of us is talking about something that like they're the only one who really knows anything about. Like when Pyro and Old Man Stompy both know about Grand Blue, but they're rarely on together. So usually Pyro's the guy who talks about Grand Blue, so Vice and I are kind of like, whatever you say, I'll assume you're telling the truth.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like when I talk about Yakuza, both of you are like, okay.
Exactly. Not that we don't like to hear about those things, but like one of the things that we were starting to notice was that we're adults and have heavy work schedules, so
speak for yourself. I'm unemployed.
Joke's on you.
Well, you have health care.
Yeah, right.
We could all be so lucky and live in Canada, but anyway. What wanted to come up with a way in which, you know, it didn't sound like we were talking about the same thing. Like a lot of times, you know, I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn since before I moved into my new apartment back in January. I am just basically finishing it now. I have been talking about this game for that long, and saying and giving little updates or whatever, but like really that's not all that interesting. Also, you know, I'm going to be playing Enter the Gungeon until I perfect it, which will take a long time because it's a roguelite, you know. So occasionally we will mention things about what we're doing, and maybe we'll more share that kind of stuff on Recon, but we're not going to go through the long list of things that we did this week anymore. Rather, we are taking a cue from what seemed to be everybody's favorite section, which was the fan questions. Now, we are still going to have fan questions at the end of every episode, and also the reactions to the previous question right before it. That is going to be the same. However, I have come up with a bunch of in-depth topics that we can go over that are more going to be about discussion based, that we'll base a whole episode on, and we'll talk about it and go ad nauseum about it, because we could, I mean, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but me and Lotus can basically talk about anything for any amount of time. So,
really? I never noticed.
Who wants to talk about the Odyssey with us? We should have done that for 101. We should have made the first topic just the Odyssey.
It's a gift. I could talk about Swamp Thing's version of the Odyssey all day long, but
Swamp Thing. I could talk about Marvel Comics' interpretation of the Odyssey. Yeah, I was gonna go there. Swamp Thing is amazing.
It's also DC Comics, but anyway.
No. I was saying that was Marvel did an interpretation of the Odyssey, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Swamp Thing is DC.
Yeah. So anyway, to show where this is going, I also am bringing back Vise's Way In as well. So more on that later, but more on. But anyway,
I was gonna go with another stupid pun. I was gonna say, like, if I can weigh in on it. This is why we have
like
talkathons.
5 minutes
like,
in, and it's already like pun
ourselves.
central.
Well, we need our own version of the old guys from the Muppets here heckling us from the balcony. So, so anyway, so this week we wanted to talk about what our white whale games are.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a discussion based off of I'm going to explain each topic and how we're going to go into it, but I mean this phrase in a couple of ways. So
a literary reference again. I love it.
For those of us that are collectors or have been searching out something, or maybe just want something that's so expensive that we haven't dared buy it. I want you to talk about that game and why you haven't been able to make yourself buy it or find it, and then I wanted to interpret it in a different way. This is the games that you've always wanted to play but never really gotten yourself to be able to. You always get distracted, or you just can't bring yourself to play it. But it always sticks in your mind. I should really play that. So I want to start off by talking about a couple of my white whales. So in terms of collecting, I've kind of fallen off on buying a lot of the older games. Like I've kind of bought all of the older games that I've ever wanted. Growing up, I always wanted a Radiant Silver Gun and a Guardian of Heroes, and I've gotten those. I've wanted a Saturn Bomberman. A lot of Saturn games were just inaccessible to me.
I do kind of like that, like, growing up I always wanted, and you go for like the freaking Saturn.
Oh yeah, and these were games but that was because I was a huge Treasure fan, right? I was a huge Gunstar Heroes fan, and these were always mythical games that people talked about in magazines. This was before I could even watch YouTube videos of people playing it, so I didn't even know what they looked like in action, right?
That's true. Yeah, YouTube wasn't a thing until 2006.
So, like, Guardian Heroes at least came out in the United States. I may have had a shot with that, but like, Radiant Silvergun was an import game. So, like, I had even less of a chance of spotting that. Somebody playing that in the wild. I had no idea what it looked like, and everybody always touted it as the best shooter of all time.
And even if you could have gotten it, like, back at this point in history, could you have even played it? Unless you imported a Japanese system too.
Exactly. So
now it's like, oh, well, here's how you play import games. But back then, like, you probably would have just put it into your system and wondered why it didn't work.
So I actually found one of my White Whale games only just recently, like last year. I had been looking for this game forever, and I had no idea how rare it was. So I'm a big fan of Sega arcade games. I love Sega games in general, but Sega arcade games are awesome. They're always fun and frenetic, and it's just great. So I actually have the original version of this. It's Outrun 2 on the original Xbox. Now,
okay.
They made a sequel to it called Outrun 2 Coast to Coast. Outrun
was
2006.
that the one I was with you for?
Yes. So I had been searching for this game forever. I didn't know it was rare, and it's a much updated, much better version of the original Outrun 2. So they added a lot more cars and modes to it. So and it's a beautiful looking game even to this day. If you play this game unupscaled and everything, it still looks freaking beautiful. And keep in mind, this game was also on the Chihiro board, which was made with the original Xbox hardware. So keep in mind, this game is arcade perfect. It looks like it does in the arcade.
Like that was the thing. Like, what I can't speak. What Vice had just said is, like, yeah, there were some games that released at a specific time, like this Outrun game and like Virtua Cop 3. Like, the arcade machines were Xboxes with like an enhanced, like, what was it, enhanced RAM, I guess.
Yeah,
Probably.
exactly. Only a little bit of extra RAM.
This is it's kind of niche even within the modding scene, but like, people modding Xboxes, like, that's become more of a thing than it was before. And usually the way you'd mod your Xbox is you could do like a thing where you can use, like, play imported discs, but there's also a mod where you replace your hard drive and have like just a hard drive loaded with games, kind of like you would do like an SD card for the Super Nintendo or something. But the original Xboxes, like the original releases of the Xboxes, like version 1.0 and maybe 1.1, have a thing that later releases do not, which is if you open the system, you'll see these RAM chips. And the original Xbox has 2 settings for where you could have put 2 more of those chips in. But they aren't. So if you take it upon yourself to find these chips and buy them, it might be a little tricky to find them, but I mean, this is like, they're from like 2001. These chips cost fucking nothing, but because like, who's gonna use them ever? But if you ever buy them and are talented enough, or can find someone to solder them in for you and program the Xbox to recognize them, then you can run these arcade games on your Xbox, because the arcade machines are Xboxes.
Yep. So that has led me to what my White Whale is right now, and I have always wanted. Lately, I've been trying to get almost all the Konami games from the 8-bit and 16-bit era. So, even though I have like flashcards and things, I just love Konami games from that era. Now, I'm mainly searching for games that have been developed by Konami rather than just published. So, games like Silent Service, for instance, on the original NES, or Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego or Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego on the NES. I don't really care about those. Konami published it on the NES. It was Electronic Arts elsewhere.
Terrible.
Yeah. Oh well, no, the Genesis version's quite good, but
yeah.
You know, actually, the store we were shopping at where you got that Outrun game, I think last time I was there, I think they had Genesis Where in Time, and that is a big package. I've never seen that in my life, but that thing is gigantic.
Comes with an encyclopedia. That's why.
Okay, there it is. Because I was like, whoa.
Yeah. It came with like an all-in-one encyclopedia. Like you know how encyclopedias used to come in like several volumes. This one came in like a single volume, and it was cram-packed with facts. And that's how you would play the game. You would look up. Like what they were talking about in the game.
Pre-internet, man.
And you would look for your answers in there. So it was pretty neat. But anyway, my white whale at the moment is The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the SNES. I have.
Oh yeah, I've played that game.
You have the Genesis version.
Oh, right? I absolutely have the Genesis one. It's a completely different game. It's a run and gun kind of game. Kind of like Gunstar Heroes. So,
that's adorable.
My cat says hi. But The Adventures of Batman and Robin on SNES is a completely different game. It's kind of like a beat 'em up. And platformer. And I never really owned this game or played it extensively, but I'm a huge Batman fan and I'm a huge Konami fan, and it's one of those games in which I just neglected to pick up, and now it's pricey. It used to be not an expensive game at all. It used to be like a $20 game maybe, but now it's like $100 game because it's shot up in popularity due to internet lists and things like that, and it's really not that super common of a game. Plus, a lot of Konami games from that era have gotten kind of on the rare side. So, you also have a few other games like Metal Warriors. That game's really expensive now too. So, that's my white whale in terms of collecting. So anyway, how about you guys? Do you have any specific games that you just cannot find anywhere or can't find it priced?
You want to go first, Lotus, or?
Yeah, I'll take it. Now, this is one, I haven't been fervently searching for this. It's not like I have to play this one, and even if I got it, it's an old PC game, so I don't know how I would be at getting it to run. I could probably download a version with a patch and get it to run easily enough, but finding an actual copy of the game would be interesting. I had never heard of this game until Pushing Up Roses and Lazy Game Reviews did a co-op Let's Play stream of the game.
Wait, is this the Pied Piper starring Jason David Frank?
How did you know? What the fuck are you talking about? Is that a real thing?
Yes. So
that sounds amazing.
The guy who was the Green Ranger on Power Rangers was in a edutainment game for the PC that was an FMV game, and he played the Pied Piper.
That sounds amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
But no,
I gotta see this.
The game I'm bringing up, they had downloaded and played via abandonware or something because the game was so limited that you're not gonna get it. It's kind of like Snatcher. It's like that game's super limited in quantity.
Sure.
Although people have at least heard of this.
There's only 10,000 of them released in the U.S.
Yeah, there are not many. They don't even have a specified number. I think Wikipedia says thousands.
Yeah, 8,000, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But they had played this game and I'd never heard of it, and the game itself only looks okay, but I kind of wanted just to have it. It's this game called The Romantic Blue, and
never heard of it.
It's kind of this. I think it's not really. I think it's a first-person point and click, almost like Myst. I think you click around to go to areas. My memory's a little hazy of this. You might move an old character around like an old King's Quest game. It's been a long time since I've watched this, but this game is insanely rare. I've seen it on eBay only a couple of times ever, and I couldn't believe I saw it even then. I saw just the disc with the disc packaging for $300. In box. It was the guy was willing to sell, the guy was willing to let you pay in installments. It was thousands. So
wow.
That it would just be interesting to have that game. And I guess for a more mainstream one, again, there's a better version out now, but just on principle, what would be really cool to have would be the special edition of Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. Now, for international audiences, this is not remarkable at all. Lots of places got the special edition, but in America, there was only one place in the entire country that got it. And I don't mean like GameStop, I mean like one location in the country. And that was the Nintendo World Store in New York City. You were either waiting in line to get it on the day it launched, or you missed it.
Man.
It's kind of like, Vakafan, you know that book that was supposed to clear up Zelda's timelines, you know, the Hyrule Historia?
Yeah.
That green book? Well, there was an orange cover variant. Again, Nintendo World Store exclusive. That I care a little less about because it's literally the same book, and orange doesn't even make sense for a Zelda color, but, like, that's crazy rare, like, for the same reason. So, like, Special Edition Hyrule Warriors. The funny thing is I could see that game whenever I want because Classic Game Junkie has it in his display case in its, like, super rare section. And I wouldn't be surprised if Digital Press, because Digital Press always has, like, this Zelda shrine in the back of their store, so I wouldn't be even slightly surprised if they had it too. But, like, me actually getting a copy of the game for myself, I doubt it. And one more thing I would go for in terms of the game that's eluded me, because I'm, like, this is one more like Vice. Like, I didn't pick it up when I could have, and now there's no way. The black box collector's edition of Nier Automata, or Automata. The reason I didn't go for it was because it came with a figure, and I don't really care about figures for stuff like that, but, like, the black box just looks freaking sweet, man. But now it's like $600.
It's crazy, huh? The color of the ink of a box can change its price.
Well, I mean, for real.
You know, that's because that game has gotten, like, a lot of notoriety in recent days, and it's really exploded as a major franchise now. So
yeah, and, like, nobody saw that coming because Nier was pretty underground, and Drakengard 1 and 2 are well, Drakengard 1 is still like $20. Drakengard 2 is a little more expensive, but, like, people don't really care about it, but Nier Automata is like, whoa, like, all of a sudden.
Well,
yeah.
I think there was enough rumblings about how good the original was. Like, a lot of people that knew better were talking about it. So the you know, the second one, people really gave it a shot once it came out. Maybe they hadn't played the first one, but
also Platinum Games, that had to have helped.
Yeah. It also, you know, had that going for it. So I think that's really you know, and there's also been this cult of personality around you know, Yoko Taro now. So
yeah,
it's really cool that that's happened, you know. So I think that's really awesome.
I guess one super duper last thing would be, just to have the swag, would be Super Nintendo Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah, that's
That'd
a good
be cool.
one.
That would just be really cool to have. Like, I got Final Fantasy 3, I got Zelda Link to the Past. Like, Chrono Trigger would be like the trifecta.
Oh,
there you
man,
go.
Speaking of Chrono Trigger, I remember quick anecdote. When I was a little younger, I never played Chrono Trigger. Like, I rented it once and that was it. But one of my friends later on, he had the version on, I think it was GBA or 3DS or something like that.
DS.
It was on DS? Okay.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, you can finally play it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to play the Chrono Trigger. One of the sections of the game is like, all right, press R and open the door. The R button was busted.
Oh, no.
And there's no way to remap the buttons.
Yeah. That sucks.
I don't know if you remember that part of the game. I think it's in the factory where you find Robot for the first time or something like that.
Okay. That sucks. That's not cool, man.
Yeah.
That's a shame. But what were some of your White Whale games there, Vakafon?
When I was young, it was a lot of Nintendo 64 games, I remember. Because I used to rent a lot of games, and now it's not really a thing anymore. And I would rent a game, I'm like, I wish I could own it, because it's like, you know, $10 every day, not every day, but every time you rent it, so it costs a lot of money, and your parents are like, can you stop renting, please?
Yep.
So, two of those games were Harvest Moon 64 and Ogre Battle 64.
Yeah,
So,
and both limited releases, too. There aren't a whole lot of copies of those out there.
Wait, you said Harvest Moon, and what was the other one?
Ogre Battle 64.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, that was one my friend had a copy of. I was like, this is pretty cool, and then, like, I never saw it again.
Yeah. Well, I have another story about that, but for Harvest Moon 64, like, I remember my mom, like, looked for it, like, in so many stores before she finally found it at, like, $80.
Yeah.
Well, it's 80 Canadians, not that bad, but still, you know.
Yeah, still, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
well,
Over
I
Battle
think that's how much the N64 games, used to cost. They were up there.
They were expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ogre Battle 64 was even worse. Like we had
Oh,
to,
no kidding. Yeah.
I think we had to call like a different city altogether for them to send a copy to one of the shops in Montreal. So then we could go get it for $120.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
But-
I remember starting to call other stores and stuff like that for like
Yeah, at some point you had
Devil's
to.
Third when it started to disappear. I was like, who has Devil's Third?
Devil's Third, man, that game. If the Game Grunts hadn't played it, I would have never heard about that.
let's get a Switch copy of going.
Limited release. Yes, Switch copy of Devil's Third. But I only heard of it because it was an extremely limited release and it was disappearing. So like they re-released it, like they released another batch later. So but I was like looking on GameStop's website which individual stores had it, and the closest one was like in New York. I'm like, well, that's just impossible.
Oh. Yeah. And so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so we got the game, and Ogre Battle 64 was so worth the $120 because it is my favorite Nintendo 64 game. It's amazing.
It's damn good.
My favorite
I still gotta play it.
My favorite Nintendo 64 game is when you turn it off.
Vice, come on, man, don't rain on my
Of the
parade.
stuff I've actually played, my favorite is probably Mischief Makers.
No, I was gonna
Mischief
say
Makers is fun.
I actually really love the N64's like library. I just don't like the system itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't deny that the two Zelda games are freaking fantastic, and there's a lot of really cool underground games like Hybrid Heaven and shit like that.
Yeah.
And, I love that kind of. I love weirdo games, like Winback.
Dude, Winback.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I like about the system is it has some unusual output on it. So like Snowboard Kids and Snowboard Kids 2,
Yep.
Those are cool. So, please go on with your story there.
Oh, okay. So Ogre Battle 64, the things that happen with kids. Hey, can I borrow this game? Sure. Disappears.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. And I never found it again. Oh man, Hybrid Heaven and Winbacks are such great games. I'm so glad when emulating became a thing. Not that I ever emulate anything. I'm a very legal guy.
Yeah. You go by all the rules. You're straight and narrow.
No, but seriously, when these came by, like getting these games now that those expensive games or those games you can't find anymore, I was so glad when emulating started to be a thing. I could play all these games like that I never played before. I couldn't play anymore because eventually, like, we got rid of Nintendo 64 because we're dumb. And you know how it is, right?
The Super Nintendo back in the day, I didn't know. I've never owned a Super Nintendo in my life, and I got a Super NT like this year.
So more recently though, some of the games like I remembered from my childhood, like my brothers played on their PlayStation, and I don't know why, but these games stick with me with a long period of my time. They're like games I didn't remember what their names were. Like, you're going to be surprised. Overblood and Galarians.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Galarians I was first introduced to in college, and I was like, whoa, this one's crazy. And, like, I've only seen it, like, 2 or 3 times since. Like, that's not a very expensive game, but, like, good luck running into it.
Yeah.
We rented this when I was really young, so I didn't know what they were playing. It's really funny, though.
You rented Galarians when you were young? The game's messed up, man.
And,
well, not me. My brothers did.
Oh, okay.
And then you got a hefty dose of Peepo!
For Overblood, damn right.
Well, we were in a household where, like, we played a lot of violent games. It didn't matter. It's a video game. We're not stupid.
But it's called Overblood, and there's, like, almost no blood in the game.
Oh, well, we're over it. So these 2 games from my childhood that I didn't remember, I remember growing up, I always remembered the music and the sounds of these games particularly because they were very different, Well, you've played Overblood, right? You've heard like the sound of when you save the game or like the music that plays when you wake up. It's very particular, very unique. So a few years ago, Game Informer have a channel on YouTube where they play some games either a little bit or to the end. And I kind of accidentally stumbled upon it. They were playing Overblood. I was like, huh. So I click. And as soon as I saw the guy wake up and get out of the capsule, I'm like, oh my god, I've played that game like freaking
it all comes back.
It all came flooding back, and everything they did we did as well. Like getting crushed by the statue, not
Oh,
figuring out how to.
absolutely.
I
Just
love
Yeah.
getting crushed
everything.
by a statue. Oh my god.
Actually, by the way, Falcon, if you like that feeling of nostalgia you forgot you had, do you ever use Reddit?
Never.
Okay, because like the thing, Reddit's like a whole bunch of forums. There's a sub forum called Tip of My Tongue, where it's just a general like, does anybody know the music video where this happens, or can anybody tell me about like what was the name of the short story or the book or the movie or the game where such and such a thing? My memory of it is
Almost
like
always
fleeting at best.
they uncover it.
Yeah, but
they're pretty
there's a
good about it.
subcategory. Yeah, but there's a subcategory called Tip of My Joystick, which is exclusively asking about video games you kind of remember, and like there's a pretty good chance your question's gonna get answered.
That's pretty cool. Like a lot of people
It's
go there, I
great.
imagine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not like the most popular forum, but yeah, a lot of people use it. Like I've personally like satisfied a couple of people's questions because like
Yeah.
I happened to know what they were. Like Chips Challenge or Rodent's Revenge. You know those games that came with like Windows XP or
Oh
95
my
or
god,
something.
yeah, like these old PC games that nobody hears about anymore.
Yeah, like Treasure Galaxy,
Yeah.
which isn't even a Super Solvers game. It's like, yes. Feels good, man.
Yeah.
But I'd say, oh, sorry, go ahead, Vice.
Oh no, I was just agreeing.
But I'd say today, like, I've managed to find every game I had like this white whale feeling on, or in that sense, I'm pretty content. Except for one game that I'm still pining for a lot, the new Fantasy Star that never came out in the US.
Fantasy Star
Oh.
Online 2, huh?
Yes, it looked great. I got teased by it a lot, and when they said like they were not releasing it in the US, I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
This game looks so great. I want to play it. And there's a way to play like if you create a Japanese account and blah blah blah. But honestly, I don't want to do something like that.
Actually,
Yeah.
I hear the thing to do now is they actually have an English version of the game running in the Philippines.
That sounds right,
Like
yeah. Or
officially,
wasn't it-
yeah.
In the
Yeah.
Philippines, oh, okay.
Yeah. So like they officially released the game in the Philippines, but not here, which is in English. There, like they could now they're just trolling us, like because they could just release it in the United States and Canada very easily, but apparently they just don't want to do it.
Well, that's the kind of thing that bugs me is when it's like teased, like like Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Lucas is playable, Big Pork City's a level. It's like just give us the damn Mother 3 already.
Yeah, really. Why not? Why not release Mother 3 in the US?
That's like America's White Whale. Like you could always play
Yeah.
the fan translation, but like
I mean,
give
are
us
they
Mother 3,
are they
man.
that convinced it's just not gonna sell or something?
No, I think it's a rights issue thing.
Oh.
I think it has like samples from like popular songs in the music and like
Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
If they can get fucking JoJo localized, they can make this work.
It's just one of those stupid things,
Yeah.
I think they're still thinking about. They'll probably do it eventually because they released Earthbound and Earthbound Zero. So I
Yeah, I still can't believe they released Earthbound Zero.
yeah I think I'm confident they'll release it eventually. It'll just be on their own time.
Eventually. You
Yeah.
know what's my white whale for video games with Lotus Prince though?
What's
Oh,
that?
no.
I cannot wait for you to let's play or stream Overblood 2 because you are going to flip.
I would love to.
That
I
game
mean, part of it is that I
is-
want to wait to get my PSIO.
Oh yeah, well, to be able to record, I guess. Or just to play it,
to be
right?
able to
'Cause
play
it's
it,
a-
yeah, pretty much.
Right, because it's only European. That game,
Like, I could probably play it otherwise, but the PSIO is still gonna make my life easier.
yeah, I imagine. That game is like a stamp of like every popular game that came out in 1997, and they were like, just put it all in one game and put the name Overblood on it because it just takes. You're gonna play that game and you're gonna see references to like 12 other popular like
Nice.
PlayStation games just mashed into one weird.
So was it like the Eat Lead of its time, where it's not like a parody, but like look
It's
at
a
all these other
mashup,
games.
basically.
Actually, well, regarding games to play, probably one of my bigger white whales is going to be the Siren series because neurotic.
Is that Siren series? Is that the one that's like kind of like a horror Cthulhu themed game, or am I
I
thinking
don't
of
think
something
it's
else?
Cthulhu themed. That might be Clive Barker's Undying or something. But
Oh, it might be, okay.
Siren is definitely horror, and it's made by Team Silent of Silent Hill. But like, it's kind of like possessed people, I think, or I don't know the details. I might be getting some of this wrong. I haven't actually played the game, but Vice showed me Siren way back in the day, and I was like, oh, cool. And now I have it. And I also have Siren Blood Curse, the PS3 game. But why don't I play these damn games? Because Siren 2, this is like America's White Whale. Siren 2 never came out in the States, and here's the problem. Big problem. It came out in English in Europe.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't import the disc and play it because the thing is, the PS2 took 3 kinds of discs. There were like the blueback CD-ROMs for like the simpler earlier games like Ico. There's DVDs, which most games have, but then there are what are called dual layer DVDs, which have games with like more stuff on them, where like the disc will kind of like shift to its other layer. Like for example, I remember looking up, like I had a copy of Yakuza 2. It turns out the disc was scratched, so I got it cleaned and it worked. But at first it crashed to this particular area. I would load this one building and it would crash. So I was Googling Yakuza 2 crashes, and a lot of people were saying it crashed at like when you go into chapter 10, because that's when the disc kind of switches to its second layer.
Yeah.
That wasn't my problem, but that's a thing. So here's the yeah, go ahead, Vice.
I was gonna say most games have this feature are on a dual layer disc because they're big. You know, like God of War and God of War 2, I think have
I don't know about
discs.
God of War, but God of War 2 absolutely.
Yeah. And was it
Rock Band 2?
Devil May Cry has this. Just like games with large textures and things like this. But in the case of Siren 2, it's because it has all the European languages on it.
That's
it has, like,
just the thing.
Yeah,
yes.
it has 5 languages on it.
Sweet.
Along with dubbing. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's what kills me, because it's exactly as Vice said. Here's the problem. For dual layer discs, like for the PS2, you can buy freeloader discs, so you can play foreign games. And there are 2 different freeloader discs, a CD and a DVD. There is not a dual layer freeloader disc because it's not worth it to make it, because most dual layer games we just got. God of War 2, buy it whenever you want. There are like, I think literally like 2, 3, or 4 dual layer discs that we didn't get. So it's just like, come on, I'm not going to bother. So here's the problem. I could either import the European game and not be able to play it, or I could import the Japanese game and be able to play it, but it's in Japanese.
Huh.
So, like, I've only seen a couple of solutions for this. One, buy a fat PS2 and have it modded with, like, a hard drive replacement, like I mentioned for the Xbox, the original Xbox. Or, this was a rather amusing solution. Somebody could upload, like an ISO of the game for you to download and burn to a disk. Just go into the files and simply delete the other languages so you can burn it to a regular DVD.
Ooh, would that work?
Yes, it would. The problem is, though, that's a simpler solution, but like you can never really guarantee the quality of burns, so how do you know you're not going to get like frame rate issues when you play the game or something? But you could do it. Or I suppose you could emulate it on a PS2 emulator. That's also a thing.
I mean, the real way to do this is with free McBoot, which you were referencing with the hard drive. That's the way to do it. I mean,
yeah, that's the way to do it. With like that'll have the game run cleanly. Like, I mean, I can personally attest to this. When I Let's Played Fatal Frame 4 on the original Wii, I had announced I'm gonna Let's Play the game at such and such a date. And when the date was approaching, I was like, shit, like the game I ordered on eBay hasn't come in yet. So I burned the game and Let's Played that until my actual disc arrived. And you can tell there were some cutscenes that I had to like rip from YouTube and put in my Let's Play because the game played all right, but the cutscenes were like single-digit FPS. They were like literally unwatchable. And as far as going to the map screen and back, when I played the legitimate disc, I noticed the load times were a little bit better. So like just burn as a last resort, man. Like it might work, but
Yeah, it's
Poorly,
not the
yeah.
best.
like even when Vice and I let's played Police Knots, we each owned the game, but it's like we're gonna emulate this because we'll know it'll work.
I'm gonna be pretty quick about this, but for as far as games that I wish have played and I just never have done it, and it always sticks in my mind. I need to play this. The two Knights of the Old Republic games.
Oh yeah.
I really want to play those. In fact, my interest in them has been renewed because they released the content that had been cut out of it on Steam Workshop for KOTOR 2, which is pretty cool. Only a couple of years ago. But also, there was a recent BioWare sale on Origin where you could get all the DLC for the Mass Effect games for the PC versions of those. So I picked those up. So I'm like, man, I should go back to the old BioWare games and play those, KOTOR and Jade Empire, KOTOR 2. I never have played those, so
You're gonna enjoy them.
Oh, I'll be all over them. I know I will. I just... for some reason or another, I keep getting distracted.
You gotta focus, Vice. You gotta get on it.
How about gameplay-wise for you, Vacavon?
Like what games?
Do you wish you had played? Like, they keep eluding you, or you keep putting it off?
A game... Well, Ninja Baseball Batman.
That's a great game, yeah.
Come to Chicago.
How the hell? Yeah, except for that, how the hell am I ever gonna play that game? You know?
MAME.
Yeah, MAME is really the only way, or go to Magfest. Magfest usually has a copy of it.
Usually, I've never seen that there.
It's been there. Yeah,
huh.
They were hiding it from you.
I mean, you never know. They had freaking Virtual on once. That blew my mind.
But
it's one of those games. It just looks like a barrel of fun, and I want to play it.
They have
that
that Canadian sequel to Virtual on Ontario Tangram. It's actually called Oratorio Tangram, but it would make more sense if it was Ontario Tangram.
Okay, everybody raise your hands if you got that joke.
Nobody did.
Yeah, what's that? Nobody?
I want to see that one guy comment like, I got it.
Yeah. So anyway, Vice is way in.
Let's change that subject
now that
quickly.
I've killed the conversation here successfully. I did want to mention here that I had dropped off in talking about my weight loss here, because I embarrassingly fell off my weight loss regimen and actually had gained a bunch. So here's the thing about struggles like this. This is going to be a struggle for me my whole life. I've always been overweight, and except when I got really thin after being overweight for my entire life. So it's just one of those things I'm going to struggle with, and I'm going to have to constantly remind myself. But I also was not in the right headspace in order to continue on with it. So I didn't want to keep letting people down and making no progress, because I was not in the right headspace for it.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Like, it had been a very long time since you'd reported gaining weight, but you'd been like every week for months it was maintained.
Yeah, which is a good thing. But then I fell off the wagon. So here's the thing. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and
who doesn't these days?
Well, not everybody
clinical
talks
depression
about it.
though.
Yeah. And clinical. Not everybody talks about it either, and of course one of the things that I like to do is talk about it, because I want to kind of help out people with the same problems that and help also raise the stigma from it. I want to be one of the people that will talk about it openly, so it's not such a bad thing to talk about and search for support. So anyway, one of the things that affects me is that I eat to cope with it. So it's just one of those things, maybe other people have even worse habits, like thankfully I don't have anything worse than that. But there are other people that deal with it in much worse ways. But as a result, I did get up to 260 pounds, and I am not happy with it. So I finally got in the right headspace in order to start losing again, and I didn't want to start doing this weigh-in until I actually had some results, because I wanted to be like, okay, no, I don't want to just talk about doing this. I want to actually be doing this. And for anybody who's ever wanted to start a major weight loss, you need to be in the right headspace and you need to be dedicated to it. You can't half-ass it, because it takes discipline.
It's far too easy to say like, oh, just this once every day.
Exactly, and
exceptions exist for a reason, but don't make the exception the new rule.
Yeah.
I'll start it after this weekend. When no more special events are going to go on. There are going to be special events.
That's the thing that always kind of bugged me. It's like not the fact that like, oh, I'll start next week. You got to start sometime. But what bugs me was when it's like, well, because I'm starting next week, I'm gonna make the most of today and eat like a whole cake. It's like you're making it way worse for when you do start.
Yeah. Well, you start making excuses for it. Speaking of white whales, so anyway, but anyway, I have lost 5 pounds this week from watching myself. Thank you. Now that. For anybody who is just starting to lose weight, you will lose a lot of weight very quickly after a change in diet. However, you will not keep up that pace. Do not keep thinking you will lose 5 pounds in a week. You will not. It is not something that you can keep up, and nor should you.
That's fucking fast. Like 5 pounds every week. Like
you're basically
vicious.
melting at that point.
Yeah. So you could probably lose 10 pounds if you're a man. And I'm not being sexist. That's an actual thing. Men can lose weight quicker in the very beginning than women. If you're a man and you change your intake drastically. You can typically lose, 10 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds in 3 weeks. So, and you'll see those results quickly, but then it'll start to slow down where you can only lose 2 or 3, even with the most,
drastic.
Well, not drastic, but with the most discipline.
Okay.
So. Keep in mind, don't get discouraged. Don't think that you're tapering off. It's just your body wants homeostasis. It does not want to lose a lot of weight all at once. It does not want to gain a lot of weight all at once. It doesn't like it. Your body wants to be the same weight all the time. So that's perfectly normal. So talking from a person who's lost weight and gained weight several times throughout his life. Do not get discouraged by this kind of thing, and make sure that you're in the right headspace for it. Make sure you have the support, and thankfully I do. So I want to continue on this, and I want to, now that I'm in the right spot in my head, I want to continue with it. Go ahead.
I was making a thumbs up, and I just realized you can't see it. But
yeah, nobody can. We can't even see it.
But I also actually have a problem with anxiety, and I did have a depression like 3 years ago, where it really kicked my ass. And I deal with these problems as well. Well, so like for example, like I went to talk about that in the last podcast, but
yeah, this is a perfect opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys know ProJared. He's a YouTuber, but he's recently put out basically a call for artists because he wants to try improving his channel and his Twitch with artwork, with like little animations when someone like gives him money or subscribes.
Sure.
And I wanted, of course, to work for him because it's fun. I like the guy a lot, and I like what he does.
Some exposure too. Yeah.
Don't say that word. Artists hate it. We want money.
Yeah, no, seriously, that legitimately is like cancer to like anyone
I
who
meant it in a
creates
good
for
way.
a living.
I know, Vice.
Well,
I
they
know.
they all mean it in a good way. Vice, you're just as toxic as the rest of them. But for real, like exposure is just like
You're working for exposure.
That's the thing. People want
No,
exposure, but you can't buy your meals with exposure.
Yeah, you can't buy anything with exposure. Like, oh, people know you. Yeah, kid, I'm on the streets though.
It's just like the first OVA of Berserk, where the guy's like, Guts, where are you going? Like, I'm offering you like a title, and Guts is like, I can't eat that. And just leaves. Yeah.
Yeah, cool title. It'll
Yeah,
sound
fuck
great.
you. Where's my money? Yeah.
But the problem so I wanted to apply, and I'm good. I don't want to brag because
No, you're great.
So I wanted to apply for that
We'll
job
brag
because
for
I can
you.
do it. I know how to do it, and etc. I spent 2 hours, more than 2 hours, just sitting on my chair and looking at my emails that I was gonna send, not doing anything, going back to Discord, going back to my friends, going back like to my kitchen, going to the bathroom, going back here, listening to a YouTube video. I couldn't for the life of me finally just decide to write like, hey, how's it going? Here's my resume and my pictures. I couldn't do it. I had this enormous ball of stress in my stomach that it comes from nowhere, right? Your brain does something where you're either afraid to fail or you're afraid to succeed, and then both, and then it starts spiraling because all these negative emotions. Exactly, your mind doesn't stop, and because you're not doing it, then you get even more stressed, and because you're more stressed, then you're not doing it, and then you get more stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start thinking that because you're not doing it and you are not doing it, that you're a loser and that you shouldn't do it. It's self-fulfilling.
Exactly, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So one piece of advice I can say for anyone with that kind of problem is to just you break the cycle once and for all. You gotta let it ride. You ride the wave because you can't stop it. You ride the wave. You get those thoughts, and then you gently make him leave your brain until you're just ready to go for it, and you break the cycle. That's it. Because those thoughts are gonna come in anyway. Like every time you're stressed, you always have those thoughts. It's just when you're anxious, these thoughts don't leave and they stay and they stagnate, and that's the worst part.
Yeah, I mean it's very important to not talk yourself out of doing things because of this kind of stuff. Because even if you fail, at least you gave it a shot. You gave it your all, and just give it your all. I mean, it's like anything else at work or at school. For those of you that are still in school, I had all of these feelings, and a lot of these feelings came up when when doing the podcast, and also moving the podcast was a big thing for me because I had an umbrella here with Lotus's channel, and I was safe and secure in knowing that we already had an audience, and I was always afraid of losing you guys. I was very afraid of losing the people that we had already gotten, and you know what? I came to the conclusion that we may lose some people, but those people were never really dedicated to begin with. If they don't want to switch over, they weren't really huge fans to begin with, and we didn't change all that much. So it's not like we're lowering in quality or anything like that. In fact, as time goes on, I think we get more confident. I think it's very important, to just make the jump sometimes. Plan it out best you can, and get input from your friends or loved ones for your support, which is what I did. I mean, I asked the members of CoreCon here for their advice on the format change and the switch, and we just did it.
Yeah, and despite everything I said, here we are.
I ignored everything. I threw it in the trash. And
threw it on the ground.
And leave all your hate mail on Lotus Prince's channel. But seriously, putting yourself out there is always going to be something that's nerve-wracking. You never know whether people are going to be mean to you or you're not going to do it right. You know what? We weren't perfect when we first started, and we're not perfect now, but we're a lot better at it, right? And
we'd be even better if we had more red-haired Menelaus.
We'd be even better if we had less Lotus Prince.
Yeah. We'd be even better if you talked about your library Jaws presentation, even though you've already did it. We just talked about it again.
I'll do it on my analysis on Jaws 4, on Michael Caine. But seriously, just, you know what? Have the confidence in yourself that you can do a good job or improve over time anyway, and just put it out. You know, like, I always thought to myself, you know, what if my editing skills aren't good enough? Well, just get better at it. You know, you're going to make little flubs, but most people aren't going to notice the little things. They're going to appreciate the overall thing.
Not to mention, like, this is a podcast. Unless there's something, like, really, like, we can't have this. Like, most of the editing is just syncing us up at the start and the end. Like, you don't really need to, like, micromanage an hour worth of podcast. It's not that big of a deal.
Speaking of, can you guys guess how long it took me to gather the courage to be on this podcast?
When did Vice ask you?
We wish it took longer.
So yeah, it was on episode 91 that I first appeared.
Oh, you mean the first time?
Yeah. No, because now
geez.
I gotta admit, now I'm really comfortable, so I'm really glad every time I'm here. But man, the first time I went out to you and I was like, can I be the podcast? It took me 6 weeks before I finally got the guts to go for it.
And what a shame, because 6 weeks
all you had to
prior
do
would have been the perfect time for you to be on.
Yeah, you sent me a DM on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. Like, you know, like,
dude, I was so glad.
Yeah, and we're glad to have you. I mean, and we're glad to have you on a time in which we were ushering in a new era for the podcast as well. I mean, this is a really proud time. I mean,
the year
what
of
an honor.
Luigi.
Yeah. So, did anybody want to have any other comments on this area? We should move on to reactions and
one last
fan questions.
really quick thing.
Yeah.
Sure, please.
Mm-hmm.
I went for it. I went for the job application, so I'm glad.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. That's where you were starting in the first place. Yeah. So
hijacked it.
congratulations
I'm sorry.
on taking the step.
Thank
I
you.
hijacked it. I apologize.
And again, like, this is what was mentioned before, like, in text. But, like, the worst thing that happens is he says no, and
That's
like
it.
you're
Yeah,
no worse
I know.
off than when you started. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like every job interview ever. If you don't get it, then, like, you haven't lost anything except for, like, how long it took you to have the job interview.
Yeah. And your pride.
Well, there is that, yes.
But
And all of your money and all of your time. All right, so, but with that, yeah, we could get to some fan reactions and a question. So there were no reactions to Lazarul's question because, like, there really can't be. That was a question specifically for me about a show I don't even watch. So we kind of, like, transitioned that into a topic that we can more relate to, even though the question was hilarious. But we did get a bunch of reactions to the fact that it was the 100th episode.
Congratulations
So
again, by the way. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It is the century of Luigi. So we have, the cat at Jaina says, congratulations on 100th episode. 4 heroes. Doho. If you are heroes, what are your special powers? Except for repeated jokes. So I guess it's kind of sneaking in a question, too.
That's it.
My power is probably being pedantic and persnickety.
And having assonance.
What was it? Oh, assonance?
Oh, no, what was it? No, what's 2 consonants in a row like that?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Oh, well, anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think my special power would be to laugh at my own jokes repeatedly.
Actually, that's a pretty good one.
Excellent.
How about you,
Falcathon, any idea what your power might be?
I'm just Canadian.
That's
I
I
noticed you did say I'm sorry a couple times, I think, on the air and off. So
Oh, shit, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
You check out, yeah. So anyway, so the Katachana finishes with I'm sure the changes will work well and hopefully the audience will grow. Cheers. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
General Ledger says best wishes on the channel transition. As for the poorly timed responses to media regarding, reactive being like 4 days later, now it's 2 days later, but I'm the same way with sci-fi movies. I have coworkers that go to every opening night and loudly discuss spoilers the next day. That's not your problem, it's their problem. It sucks. I mean, that's a problem for you, but that's not on you. I wait for the movie to come out on disc so that I've had sufficient time to forget about everything I've heard about it. Fair enough. And then back to IHOP. IHOB sounds like Apple's attempts to break into kitchenware. Like the I and the... A hob is a tray in an oven or fireplace for keeping pans or food warm.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hobgoblins are a type of...
Domblevoy.
Like in folklore? I'm not sure what that is. Fae that do chores and favors in exchange for being allowed to live on the hob.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. So wow, they're goblins
like
for the hob.
Like Dobby.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I always love General Ledger's comments because he always like lets us know what we like. Foisted on our own petard was answered by him.
Hoisted, but yes.
Yeah. He always knows the trivia here.
He has the knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got general knowledge as well. So yeah, thank you for that. Solidus Scully. Merry Christmas, happy 100th episode of Corrective Consciousness. It was a lot of fun catching up on the hours of interesting discussion, laughs, and listening to Vice screw up the opening lines of the podcast. Yeah. I think
which he hasn't done in this podcast.
I haven't done it in quite some time.
Well,
Wow.
the funny thing about that, though, is, like, we usually don't keep that stuff on the air. Like, it'll be, like, getting the date wrong for Reactive or something, and, like, we just talk about the fact that he screwed it up. Like, no one really hears this. It's just kind of funny.
I usually do mumble something during it, though. I had a habit of, like, just, like, minorly screwing something up even during the good take. So, like, if you were paying attention, you would hear it, but I haven't done it for a while now.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
So anyway, serves as my one-stop shop for fantastic audio to listen to while I grind in an RPG, or in my case, Phantasy Star and Tales of Zestiria, or
Awesome.
Zestiria, or whatever. Here's to 100 more episodes of the Corrective Consciousness and its sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness. Also, I'll never get tired of singing that theme song.
Ooh, do you like movies and games also?
Wait, Lotus and Friends.
I just want to have like Dracologist, Facathon, and Minty Mitts on one time, or Old Man Stompy.
Yeah, so it's just
like,
blank and Friends. Like in addition to
friends.
what? That'd be amazing. So yeah, thank you, Solidus Scully. T. Thomas. Congratulations for the 100th episode here, you guys. They have been fun listens as they come. Awesome starting, and here is to more to come. So thank you, T. Thomas.
Everybody came out of the woodwork for this. Jeez.
Yeah, no kidding, yeah. School Filmer. Congrats on 100 episodes of fun. This is perfect when I'm playing Stardew Valley on the Switch. I would recommend it. Yes, so I hear.
I hear it's
and I'm super pumped about Smash Ultimate. Everyone's here, as well as 3 newcomers so far. Maybe Jibanyan could become DLC one day, maybe. I think that was that Yokai Watch character. I do recall he did place, 4th in the ballot in Japan?
That's impressive.
Pretty rad. Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you, School Filmer. And finally, we have Denny Boy 32289. This is such BS. You deserve more viewers. So,
I
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
man.
thank you, Denny Boy, and thank you, Thakafon, also, just now. So, for our fan question, we have who the hell is? Have you ever seen this guy before, Vice? FAK.
Well, like
Yeah,
you
some
said,
kind
they
of
all came out of the
onomatopoeia.
woodworks. You know, it could be anyone.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Fakeophone. I don't freaking know.
Never mind, it's a stupid name.
Sounds French. I don't know. Has there
even
ever
speaks
been
French?
a game? It doesn't sound French at all. Has there ever been a game, novel, movie that you stopped or walked out of because of a small thing? So not this is hot garbage. Just like this is the one thing is just holding you up. For my friend, it was Shadow of the Colossus because when spoiler happened, he went nope and never finished the game. Too bad too, because he was like. Very close to the end of the game. He said the game wasn't worth finishing anymore. So do you have a situation like that?
Yeah, I actually, for a movie, when I was a kid, I was actually very easily creeped out by things and scared by things. I had gone and seen. I have an older brother that's 7 years older than me, and he had taken me to the Mortal Kombat movie. And we had played Mortal Kombat on the Genesis a lot. And so I was into it. So I was like, okay, a video game movie. This is gonna be cool.
Wait, may I take a guess?
Okay, go ahead.
So you say it's the thing that scared you?
Yeah.
Okay. The easy answer is probably Skeleton Scorpion, but I'm gonna go with his living hook thing first.
Like his hand
Actually,
thing?
believe it or not, it was
Yeah.
during the Sub-Zero freezing a guy and like shattering him.
Oh!
Okay, that's a good
So
one.
keep in mind, I was a real little kid at this point, and I also was not used to seeing horror or anything with a lot of violence. So
Yeah.
I was scared by it, and I probably, if I had hung in there, I would have liked the movie. But I was really anxious, so I had an anxiety issue.
But you were all like, I don't think so, and then walked out.
So this is to this day one of the only movies I've ever walked out of, and me and my brother walked down the road and went bowling. My brother took me bowling. So this was before he could drive too. So it was actually pretty cool of him to humor me. And so that's what we ended up doing. So yeah, I know it's something small, and also I love the Mortal Kombat movie. I think it's actually probably the best video game adaptation ever.
Yeah, that
Not-
or like the
or
first
that or
Silent
Street
Hill
Fighter.
movie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that or the first Silent Hill movie.
Oh, yeah, that one's good.
Street Fighter is legitimately good in its own right because it's having fun with itself, but
Yeah.
it's not a very good adaptation of
Certainly
the
not.
plot.
No,
I heard the new Tomb Raider movie was actually a good adaptation too.
I didn't see
Good.
it.
Yeah. So
For me, I don't know if this counts as a small thing, but I've never walked out of the theater. But a small thing for me for why we stopped reading, or not reading, watching, as far as a movie is concerned, probably my friends and I were watching Armageddon on DVD, and this was one of those movies where you could just kind of talk to each other while you're watching the movie.
Sure.
But you know how sometimes though, if it's like the wrong kind of movie, if you talk to each other, you might miss stuff.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
we discovered as we were talking to each other, we like really weren't paying attention to the movie anyway. So we were kind of like, do you want to just stop?
Yeah.
It was just boring. It was just a boring fucking movie. As far as a game, this is semi-small, but Hitman 2 Silent Assassin for the
The
GameCube.
game is so goddamn hard.
That game's fucking impossible. But my brother actually got ahead of me in this game. He got to level 3. I never made it past level 2. But there was a mission where you had to like figure out which person in a party you had to kill, and I couldn't do it. And that's not that big of a deal, but the thing is, like, if you messed it up, you had to reload to the past checkpoint, which was a little further away than I would have liked, and it was just really obnoxious. It's like Dark Souls if you lost all progress every time. It's like you gain nothing from this, and there's no bloodstain. Like, you just, everything resets. Suck it up. It's just a pain in the ass. So I just stopped playing Hitman 2, and I have this like fear of Hitman games ever since, even though I hear that ironically Hitman 2 is like the odd one out. Like, oh
Yeah.
no, all the other games are better, but like I'm just kind of like, ooh, the Hitman
It's
series.
like even the new one's supposed to be really awesome. The newest
Actually, my
one.
brother brought that up recently. My brother said he recently got the new Hitman game and he's loving it. And I'm like, wow, I'm surprised you like went back to Hitman. He's like, yeah, well, it must have changed since then. I'm like, yeah, it has, but I still have this irrational avoidance
Yeah.
of Hitman games.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think-
2's supposed to be the hardest one by far.
That game's nuts.
I think everyone has that little experience where like they fall on the wrong like episode or movie or game, and it's like it taints their view for everything else.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens.
Do you have an example, Fakafon, for yourself? I know you had one for your friend
Yeah,
here.
for your friend.
Oh my god, this one is so stupid, but yes.
Go
So
for it.
I started playing Final Fantasy VII recently. My friend bought it for me on my birthday,
Mhm.
and eventually you meet people. You go to La Costa del Sol, and there's a funny scene where you can talk to Red 13, and he just says like he's just swatting away a soccer ball, and he says like, I'm not doing this for fun. That my tail just does that on its own, and I think it's a funny scene. And I forgot to check it out when I played, so I left Costa del Sol, and when I came back, he wasn't there anymore. So I was like, fuck! So I restarted the game.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had
Totally.
saved afterwards. I was like, ah, shit. So I just...
Oh, yeah, that is one of the worst feelings when you save after a thing you really wish you hadn't.
That sucks.
And again, Dark Souls is pretty notorious for that because
Yeah.
the
Oh,
game
yeah.
constantly autosaves. So thank God for save scumming.
I'm right there with you because I'm so neurotic about missing things. Ugh.
Oh my God, and Vice, yeah, you kill the wrong person in Dark Souls. It's like, well, now you can't access that person's entire shop. Fuck you. So like again, save scumming. I don't care what you think about it. Like, it's very nice.
Special
for,
place in hell for them.
Don't care. I got my cutscene
I'm going
for
to
my
Shale.
Let's Play. It's fine.
I'm going to Shale, not hell.
I'm going to the Home for Infinite Losers.
What a reference.
Another one I have is we were watching a few really bad movies, like the Dragon Ball movie, and we were also watching Twilight, the first one. And
that is the ultimate nothing happens the movie, the first Twilight movie.
like everything.
No, there's supermassive black hole baseball.
I mean,
which was stupid, but at least I love the song.
Yeah.
But no, so much of that movie is nothing happening.
the first Twilight movie, everything fun happens off screen. Like people are like, let's go play on the beach, yeah, and then we don't.
Like, even the Twilight fan, like back when the movies were new, and I was like, I never read the books. I've only seen the first movie, and I hated the first movie. Even like the hardcore Twilight fans were like, they get better. It was kind of funny. And apparently they do. Apparently the movies get progressively better. But like, even they were like, yeah, that first movie, I liked it, but it's just kind of funny to hear.
So we watched Dragon Ball Revolution, and somehow we managed.
Oh, you fool!
We managed to go
saw it in
through
the
all of
theater.
it, and then when it came time for Twilight, I think one of the guys like they go to his house, and like there's a lot of graduation hats on the wall, and they're like, why is there so many graduation hats? And the guy's like, well, I don't age, so I just keep repeating school, you know. It was so bad.
Wait,
I was like,
who
I
says
can't.
this?
The first one, I think.
Yeah, but who said that?
It's either Edward or another vampire, but it was so bad. I was like, I can't watch this anymore. I have to stop.
Oh, in Twilight.
Yeah, in Twilight.
Oh, jeez.
he
I
thought
thought
he
in
meant
Dragon
in
Ball.
real
Like,
life.
what the fuck?
No. So in Twilight,
But
when...
if he graduates every year, then wouldn't that make him particularly conspicuous?
I don't know, man.
Unless he goes by a different name.
don't
But,
know.
like,
It
it's the
was
same
just-
school, though. Like, people are going to notice.
I was just so done by that point. And when that particular thing happened, I was like, no, please stop. So
Why would you choose to hang out in high school, like, with all of your eternity?
Yeah.
He could have easily posed for as a 19-year-old rather than
doing
17-year-old.
schoolwork all the time. It's like, dude, come on.
I don't know. Maybe he's
come
stuck in a high school anime. I don't know.
I'm
Yeah,
late.
maybe it's Madoka.
I'm late for school. I gotta put my toast in my
Bread in
mouth.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I actually have one last example.
Oh,
if we
I
have time.
tripped.
Yeah.
Do we have
ahead.
time for one last example?
Yeah.
I was playing Arc the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits, and actually,
Is that the first PS2 game?
I think so. Yeah, the one where
Okay.
there's the monster guys and the humans. You play as both parties.
Okay.
And the last boss, so we managed to play through all the game. I get to the last boss, and the last boss does an attack that kills my entire team except one guy, and we and my friend should look at each other and say, all right, we're done here.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, that kind of reminds me. This was not a rage quit moment, but it was really frustrating. In Xenosaga Episode 2? The battle systems are different in each game. But in Xenosaga Episode 2, there are phases where, like, if you win the battle on this phase, then you'll get more XP. Or if you win it on this phase, you'll get more money.
That's weird.
And I remember...
That's a weird system.
Yeah, and they're all weird. Like, it changes with each game. But there was this one, like, larger boss where the boss did something that, like, threw my friend, like, out of turn. Like, he was expecting the battle to end on such a phase, but all of a sudden the boss had a turn he didn't expect, and the boss ended up dying from, like, some poison effect or something, so he didn't get the XP boost. And it's
Oh.
like, you could always grind for more, but it's like, god damn it. Like, that's just really irritating.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was another great, substantial episode. Geez,
Yeah.
here I was thinking, half thinking to myself, we couldn't possibly fill an entire episode with one topic. And,
But
and
that's
all
kind of
our,
the thing. That's the thing with Corrective Consciousness, though. Like,
That's the point.
whenever
yeah.
we think, oh, this is going to be a short episode, it's, like, longer than usual.
yeah. And
Like, especially whenever it's a two-person, like, whenever it's just me and Old Man Stompy, like, okay, if it's
fill the
45
time.
minutes, that's fine. It's like an hour and 20. Like, Jesus.
Well, see, this is why I knew that even having one just solid topic, we would have plenty to talk about. So, and that's actually the whole point of the podcast was I wanted to record our inane conversations. I think they're
Bringing
so
back that word,
entertaining.
inanity.
Well, no, that's what I mean. This is the whole point. So I hope everybody likes the new format. Please, say the mean things on Lotus's channel and give us the real comments, the encouraging ones on the Corrective Consciousness page. We want to thank our fans who contributed questions. I wish they would stay off the podcast, though. They've just infected so much of it.
Yeah, this question we just answered, I don't know, man.
You can't see me, but I'm not happy.
That's okay.
Maybe you're gonna fuck
start
off. You're gonna fuck off.
Please
Even for me, that was
stop before you embarrass yourself, Lotus.
too late.
Well, Lotus and I have a trade war already for you, so don't worry about it.
Wait, what?
So please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and Soundcloud pages, and the real YouTube channel this time. The Corrective Consciousness one. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. We need as many of these questions as we possibly can. We need a constant influx of them, so please keep us supplied. It helps spread an awareness, promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. And
Hey everybody, Vice messed up the outro.
Yeah, and, share that. Share this doofy guy, fucking things up.
Episode 101, he came into the outro right. Thumbs down.
Yeah, it would really help us if you shared the podcast via Twitter or your Facebook page. Show us some love. Even maybe throw it on Reddit. You can catch us on Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, Switch, and Battle.net. And thank God I'm done.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. You can leave all negative feedback at vysethebold. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, and getting in on a Discord with everyone else who's joined it, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/Lotus Prince.
Also, if you can find out a way on how to donate negative Patreon dollars, please direct it to Lotus Prince.
Direct it to vysethebold on Steam, Twitter, Battle.net.
Seriously though, the Discord channel is really fun, so come in.
Oh yeah, no, it's
thank
good.
you.
Good. All the interactive stuff is great. I love your I came in and crashed your party because I'm a Patreon.
Oh, on the Steam.
Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of which,
on your
one of the things that I didn't really think
YouTube.
about, but one of the things I hadn't thought about, but is fully realized now, is that now like all the people on Patreon can talk to each other on the Discord. It didn't really occur to me before, but at first, a lot of the places the people who follow me were able to talk to each other directly was via the streams.
Yeah.
So it'd be like maybe once or twice per week, but now with Discord, it's just available, which is great.
So you're getting a community going. Hopefully, they'll want to interact with Corrective as well.
Yeah,
That'd be cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, you can find me as Facathon on YouTube or Steam, at Lou Facathon on Twitter. That's Lou with a P, L-O-U-P. And you can look at my webcomic on Kajula.com. Bi-weekly.
Hopefully on ProJared.
We'll see about that.
That'd be rad.
I don't want to give anyone any false hope or anything. So.
Oh, here we go. Pedantic question time. Does bi-weekly mean twice a week or once every 2 weeks?
Twice a week.
Marvelous.
Okay,
Isn't
how
English
about
fun?
inflammable? Can you answer that one for me?
What a country!
Did you know that in French, inflammable means flammable?
Well, it does in English as well.
But
Are
it
you
also
serious?
It means both. That's why
Well,
it's
because
confusing.
it was actually inflammable first, because if something lights on fire, it becomes inflamed, so it does make sense. But then, people remembered that in means not for everything else, so they were like, oh, so I guess flammable is when it's lit and inflammable is not. So now both mean the same thing.
The word is absolutely useless. It tells you
so
nothing.
inflammable is the real word, but now flammable is because inflammable regarding how it compares to the rest of the words to start with in makes no sense.
In French, the way you say something is not flammable is inflammable, and that's not a joke.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Again, it does make sense, but it's stupid.
Yes.
I'm not Andrew.
I'm not licking toads.
I'm not. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will catch you on Tuesday on Recon, and once again, please leave us feedback on the way things are going here on the new page here. Okay.
Sure, boss.
Okay.
We'll catch you next week.
Yes, sir. Until next time, everyone.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody.